request.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Premier, yesterday the Minister of Education said that class caps are negotiated locally and not talked about at the central table. But for weeks she has not been sure why local boards in Durham, Rainbow and Peel are on strike. Premier, maybe your government is so mystified because at one time the Liberals believed, to quote Mr. McGuinty, smaller class sizes allow students to get more of the education they need to learn to read, write and do math at a high level. Speaker, the teachers have been very clear that this dispute is all about keeping class sizes manageable for the benefit of students. Liberal flip-flopping on this issue is quite perplexing. Will the Premier finally admit that more than a decade of this government's chronic underfunding of education and flip-flopping on class caps are forcing students and families to pay the price?
Thank you, Premier.
Minister of Education.
Minister of Education.
And I would just simply like to repeat what I said before, which is that we are absolutely committed to negotiations. I think it's unfortunate that I'm now hearing about issues that might be at the central table one place, the local table another place, and the elementary and secondary negotiations actually are getting quite confused in the comments that I'm hearing from the opposition. When we're talking about early literacy and early numeracy, we're talking about making sure that we pay a lot of attention to that at the primary and junior years. We've introduced the full-day kindergarten program to make sure that we have our children well prepared. And I can assure the member that none of the work that we have done with FDK is...
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. I think Bill 115 shows the commitment to this government's negotiating fairly. To the Premier. Speaker, the Premier and the Minister of Education seem to call local issues central and central issues local when it's convenient. But at the end of the day, it's her government that sets the priorities for education. The Premier's priorities for education are clear: cutting $250 million from education this year, cutting $6 million from special education, and closing 88 good neighbourhood schools. In response to Labour action forced by these overwhelming cuts, the Premier and her government have taken to the blame game, saying teachers wanted to go on strike. Will this government stop blaming everyone but themselves and finally take responsibility for creating chaos in our schools?
Thank you.
And I just want to be absolutely clear. Education funding last year, $22.5 billion.
The member from Timmins, James Bay.
This year, $22.5 billion. Special education funding has not been cut. So the accusations are just simply inaccurate. But what is interesting is while we committed $22.5 billion last year and continue to do that, the NDP platform was actually to take our numbers and cut $600 million.
From Kitchener and Waterloo.
That was the very flimsy platform they were running on. It's actually the NDP that promised to cut education funding, not the Liberals. Ours is the same.